All right. Earl, Doris, additional thoughts. Interesting experience with this album. I was thinking the other day, there's been a couple albums, I don't think I've brought this up before, but there's been a couple albums where I do the reaction, I enjoy the reaction, and I'm finding that my initial reaction to a lot of these albums are often very fun because it's such an intense experience, because I'm so closely involved with listening to the music and paying attention to the lyrics and deciphering stories, and the reaction experience has become a lot more enjoyable because, I don't know, I feel like I'm maybe getting a little bit better at it, but just really diving into it more. And so sometimes I come out of these reactions and I'm like, okay, now it's just time to listen to the album the way, we always do. And then I go, I don't know if I'm really into it that much, right? And sometimes that's true. And sometimes I get this weird thing where like, yeah, I'm not really into it that much, whatever. And then I'll put it on because it's like, I want to give it a fair chance. During the week after I do my reaction, I try and do at least 5 full listens. I try and get at least 5. If I can get more, that's great. I'll definitely do some singles where I'm like, oh yeah, I like this song. I'll listen to it a couple times, this song a couple times. I try and do like a random listen just to see how it feels to have, random tracks pop in. And sometimes I'll have this idea of, I'm not really into it, whatever. It's a cool album, but whatever, not really into it. And then I put it on and I'm like, well, no. This song's cool. And then the next song comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, I like this is a cool song. I like this one. And then I go through the album and I'm like, no, I like all these songs. These are great songs. This is a cool album. And then I'll finish, and the fucking sun's shining through the blinds. I'll finish and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. And it feels like that SpongeBob meme with the guard and the ID, and he's like, this and that. It's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah. And then, okay, so then you like the album. No, I don't like the album. Anyway, all that to say, I had that experience with this album, but it won out on the side of, I really like this album. Sometimes it just takes a little longer for certain songs to click. Like initially, 523. That little just musical interlude that kind of exists there, right? Cool song, whatever. Didn't I get it? I really like that jam now. I really like 523. There's been a couple times I just put it on and I listen to it 2 or 3 times because it's a minute and a half. And I like it. And I remember initially, I don't remember my reaction for Hive, but over the weekend and stuff, I was like, yeah, because it's just got the beat's kind of weird and it's got that weird, just kind of like clap sound, and like now I kind of like Hive now. Chum is great, of course. 20 Wave Caps, I really like 20 Wave Caps. Like that song grew on me a bunch. Guild is fucking great. Molasses is fantastic. Of course, Chum is amazing. Burgundy grew on me quite a bit. So it was just this weird experience of enjoying individual songs and then slowly realizing, okay, well, if you like all these songs, then you enjoy the album. And I don't know where that idea comes from of feeling like I don't enjoy an album when obviously I do. It's strange. I don't know. There's been some strange experiences lately, I'd say in the last couple months, with both that sensation of, oh, I don't know if I'm into it when I am into it. And then also, too, there's times when I'm like, oh, I really like that song, but I can't remember it. Like I have to put it on and go, oh, yeah, that's it. And I don't know if it's some sort of just music capacity thing, because I've been listening to a shit ton of music lately. A shit ton. So I don't know. It's just strange. So there you go. There's my weird, rambling, pointless story. What's really fun about this one, too, is having tracks like Sasquatch and Whoa, having them produced by Tyler, having Tyler in there it was just like this fun throwback feel for me of hearing some of the earlier Tyler sounds and styles after going through his stuff and, obviously being up to date and hearing Call Me If You Get Lost. And so that was really cool. Guild is a badass track with how just weird it is. I think really what I enjoy the most about this album is it's just kind of weird. I'll put on 20 Wave Caps and it's like, this is just kind of a funky beat and it's odd and I like it. And then Sunday, people said you guys left comments about how it is, the verse that Earl has. It is about his girlfriend and whatever they're going through. And cool. Not like trying to argue against that. But on the reaction, I talked about how, what if this was his like relationship with God? And it's just a neat spin on that. And I've always, every time that song comes on and I listen to it, I always have that kind of mindset into it. And not to say that that was his intention or that there was a double meaning or anything like that, but it is just a weird way to listen to that song. And to me, it makes it interesting in that respect. Horse, I really like Horse too, the beat. I think my favorite though is Chum. I mean, I've had so many people tell me that's like one of their favorite rap songs of all time, and I totally agree. Great track. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so a lot of you guys told me Random Black Dude is Earl Sweatshirt, and I didn't know that. I didn't know he produced, and I even went through just now because I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing his name a couple times. No, he was fucking producing on almost all of these tracks, so that's cool. And then the fact that I guess he was 18 or 19 when he made this album and it released, that's pretty interesting. And then seeing the comments from you guys about how his favorite rapper is MF Doom, and going through and listening to it again and realizing, you know, I remember on the reaction, there was a couple points where I was talking about how I was having a hard time following the lyrics and I almost kind of gave up on the lyrics, right? And I remember on Mad Villainy, it was the same thing because it was just this different style of bringing out the lyrics in the way they're presented, and sometimes it's almost backwards in where the punchline is versus where the setup is, and it's just odd. And so you get that oddness of lyrical style, and then you get this oddness with the beats, and it does make for just this really kind of cool, I want to call it underground, but I don't know if that's an appropriate term because underground has like a specific meaning in hip hop, and I'm slightly learning that, although I don't really know who I've listened to that is considered underground. I think for the most part, the people I've listened to have been more or less mainstream as far as I understand. But it just has this weird, unique, funky, just oddity to it. And I love it. I love it. It makes it very interesting. And I remember reading a comment from somebody about how this album is so much better when you're smoking pot. And I could totally see that. I wish I could experience it in that way. But I really like Doris. I really do like Doris. So much so that I've already decided I want to do some rap songs and I want to do I Don't Like Shit. And since both those projects are shorter, I'm going to do both of those on the same day. When I get to them, I don't know. But I will do both of those albums on the same day. It'll be separate videos. And then I guess there's another project he has called Solace, which is like 10 minutes long. I could probably squeeze that one in there. So whenever I get back to Earl Sweatshirt, I'm going to basically just wrap up. It's not everything that he's done, but I'm a bulk of his catalog on the next Friday when I do his reactions. Because a lot of you have said that some rap songs and I Don't Like Shit, like it gets even weirder. The production gets weirder. Like I'm all into it. I totally want to hear that. Because for this being I think this is his debut. At the age that he was, the beats that he was making, the people he brought in, this is a really good album. I can see why it was recommended for so long, so often. But then what's also interesting too is I can kind of see why people aren't into Earl. And while I enjoy what he's doing here, because it is kind of odd, and there aren't really there aren't really any bangers on this album. Like maybe you could make the argument for like Whoa or maybe Sasquatch or Molasses maybe. But even those are just kind of funky, you know? So I can see it from that respect too. But I'm on the side of enjoying this album quite a bit. Yeah. You know, with Molasses, I just want to say that should any of you decide to partake in the activity of fucking the freckles off of somebody's face, you know, just be prepared, be well hydrated, sports drinks beforehand, sports drinks during, sports drinks available, because it's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of friction. It's such a great line. That line, man. And why I like that one so much is because I feel like, I don't know, maybe if I had heard that 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, geez, there's rap. But I think that one is so ridiculous, I would have picked up on it just being ridiculous. But it made me realize, too, how some of the ridiculousness that exists within rap, some of it's very obvious, like that line. But then, of course, there's a bit of a spectrum. So I laugh at that line, and then I wonder about other things that I didn't laugh at from other songs from albums prior that maybe I should have, because I didn't really get that they were just screwing around. I watched the music video for Whoa. They're just screwing around. They're having fun. And I don't know, it is just strange to kind of have almost both perspectives in my mind of people being offended and the kids shouldn't do that and they're bad role models and whatever, and versus they're just fucking around, especially at that age. They're young, they're having fun, whatever. I did watch the video for Earl too. That was wild. That one's wild. Very reminiscent of the Prodigy video for Smack My Bitch Up. If you guys have not watched that music video, watch that one and you'll see some similarities that exist there. So that was cool. And then I guess that's it. Really, I enjoyed my time with this album. It was cool. I think this was the one last thing I was going to say, because I think I started on it and then I got sidetracked. But I noticed after I realized that Earl was a huge MF Doom fan, after that was pointed out to me, and then I listened to it again and I had that in mind. Not to say that Earl was trying to copy MF Doom or whatever, but it just felt like he was kind of existing in the same realm. And then I realized, when I did Madvillainy, I felt off balance, not so much from what MF Doom was doing. He was doing a great job, but just trying to pick up on that style and understand that style and get comfortable with it. I had a similar feeling with Doris. And so that was kind of cool. And I feel like that's kind of a good thing in terms of what Earl's doing and the style that he has. Because if MF Doom is his favorite rapper, and if I have a similar kind of experience with his album like I did with Madvillainy, and I'm not trying to compare the two albums in terms of how good they are or whatever, just my personal experience with them, that's kind of cool. I feel like in a way that's a weird way to get to a compliment for Earl and what he's done with his style. But there you go. Kind of a weird video. Slurpee's back there. I forgot to include him yesterday, and I felt terrible. So hopefully he was raising hell when I wasn't paying attention. He was? Okay, good. Friday is Circles by Mac Miller. I'm looking forward to that. I really want to hear that one. And I guess that's it. Cool album. I enjoyed it. It took a little bit to grow on me, but it did grow on me quite a bit. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on Friday.